Okay, so when we look at the Fort Sumter situation that we have here and how this is how peaceable secession is an utter impossibility, all we need to do is look at the one situation here. So for your discussion board, you were supposed to answer why peaceable secession was an utter impossibility. What is it about secession that's just impossible, or just makes it impossible to avoid war? Well, we don't really have to look any further than Fort Sumter for this explanation, and it comes super quickly here, really, in the aftermath of Abraham Lincoln's election. If we look at Fort Sumter was a fort in South Carolina, basically right off the coast of South Carolina, and, well, who owns it? There's my question, I guess, that will make this very straightforward. According to the Union, which is the North, they're going to say this is federal territory. It's a federal fort. Because throughout this entire war, the Union is not going to recognize the Confederacy as being a separate group of states. And in case you're wondering what I'm talking about with the Confederacy, all of these states that are below that red line, they're going to make up the Confederacy. Okay? So with all of those states, I'm going to come back real quick, with all of those states, they're saying, hey, we're separate. In Fort Sumter, since it's in our land in South Carolina, it is our property. The Union, and Abraham Lincoln as the leader, is saying, no, that's not the case. That doesn't work. So that in itself is going to cause a little bit of conflict. Then what happens when South Carolina starts attacking Fort Sumter so that they can take control of it? What is Abraham Lincoln to do? Well, that's where he gets into a really tricky situation. Before we answer that question and get into the specifics of it, though, I want you to understand something about Abraham Lincoln and what his priority was in this war. There are two different types of priorities that he could have, and I'm assuming that many of you are going to think this through the wrong way. The two main priorities he could have are A, ending slavery, or B, securing and restoring, really, the Union. In other words, bringing the country back together and ending secession. To answer this and to see what his opinion was, let's look at this line here that we have. It's from a letter that Abraham Lincoln wrote in 1862. He said, I would save the Union. I would save it the shortest way under the Constitution. The sooner the national authority can be restored, the nearer the Union will be the Union as it was. If there be those who would not save the Union, unless they could save it at the same time, save slavery, I do not agree with them. Now I want to explain this sentence to you right here. So it says, if there be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time save slavery. So what are they saying? What he's saying here, some people only want to save the country and bring the Union back together if we can protect slavery forever. And he says, I do not agree with them. But then he goes on to say, if there be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time destroy slavery, I do not agree with them. And in this, it's the exact opposite. He's saying for the people who are like the hardcore abolitionists who only want to secure the country if they can abolish slavery, he's saying I don't agree with them either. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union. So he's saying this is the priority, saving the Union. And it is not either to save or to destroy slavery. So that's a secondary issue. He goes on further to say, if I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. Surprising from a lot of our perspectives. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. And what I forbear because I do not believe it would help to save the Union. I shall do less whenever I shall believe what I am doing hurts the cause, and I shall do more whenever I shall believe doing more will help the cause. I shall try to correct errors when shown to be errors, and I shall adopt new views so fast as they shall appear to be true views. I have here stated my purpose according to my view of official duty, and I intend no modification of my oft expressed personal wish that all men everywhere could be free. So to put this all into perspective, in the last line he says, my oft expressed personal wish that all men everywhere could be free. He's saying that's my wish, but his purpose, number one priority, is to save the Union, and he will do that no matter what it takes. So slavery is not Lincoln's priority. His priority is restoring the Union. So moving on here, what are his two choices he has with Fort Sumter, given that his goal is to save and restore the Union? Should he A, leave Fort Sumter alone and let it become a part of the Confederacy, or B, should he send down reinforcements and do things that are going to lead into a war? Now, I don't think anybody here wants us to have a war, but when you look at the choices, he cannot choose to leave this alone. Because if his goal is to restore the Union, if he allows Fort Sumter to fall to the Confederacy, he's admitting that the Confederacy actually exists. And he's saying, yeah, I guess it's just yours, whatever, that's fine. That's the exact opposite of what his goal is. So even though war is really, really bad and nasty and nobody wants it, it was almost something that he was stuck in getting into, because otherwise he's going to have to allow the Confederacy to win really here, and that was not an option. So now that we've discussed through that, here's what you need to do. You need to fix your discussion board post from yesterday, which is in this folder, to make it correct. So if it was correct already, no big deal, you're in good shape. If you didn't post one at all yesterday, you need to post right now and get that taken care of. And as you can see from the fine print at the bottom, I suggest that you do get this taken care of ASAP.